Hey everyone! In my last video where I took a big old look at like all these different Los Scarabeo RWS decks, I did say that I would probably take a look at this deck in particular in a lot more depth in a future video, and that video is this one. Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot Mini Edition is coming out this week. Some people already have it, other people will have to wait until later in July. And a few people are wondering, like, is it worth my time, effort, and money? I'm here to tell you that I hate mini decks. I hate them with a passion. This is my fourth. And of the four I have, I only use one. The others just sit and collect dust. So I'm not a mini person. But I like this mini deck. I really do. I truly do. I think part of that is just how nice this presentation is. Like, this is a really nice box. Like, I don't know if you can see there, but it's got a little bit of a linen effect to it. So the box itself really like pulls apart well. That linen effect I think does help like the slide effect a little bit. And it feels very much like those blue boxes that Ryder did back in the 70s for their RWS. I think that these are going to be nice and sturdy and hold up well as long as you treat them well for the next 50 years. Like, they're a solid box. And there's some cute little details too. Like, hang on, let's just pull the cards aside there for a second. Do you see at the bottom of that box, you have Los Scarabeo's Scarab Beetle. I call him Ringo. That's just me being stupid. I've named that beetle. His name is Ringo. And you do have some text on the back here. All right, Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot, the two people who basically created it, the cards, stuff about Los Scarabeo, all the places they distribute. Not a half bad situation altogether. See, the box is fantastic. Good on Los Scarabeo for upping the box game. It does come with this little white book, and I had thought that the little white book would be a reduction of the one that came with the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot standard size. This was done by Sasha Graham, as we can see there. And this one does come in English, Italian, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. Really nice text inside, nicely formatted. There's even some color printing, as you can see. Right. So I thought that the book that would come with this deck would be a reduction of this, but it's just a basic little white book, which is fine. I mean, like, how many of us actually read these little white books anyway? Right. And most of it is other languages. All you're getting for each individual card is a few keywords. But, you know, that'll get you started. So, the little white book is hardly anything to write home about, other than the fact that this comes in Russian now. That's new. Didn't come in Russian before. So yeah, we got our Radiant Wise Spirit little white book. The showstopper, though, is clearly going to be the cards. Let me actually take away this little advert card. These are the same art that we've come to know and love from the Dirty Pam and the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. But honestly, I think the art looks better. And I think part of that is they shrunk it down as opposed to expand it out. Let's take a look at these guys. All right. So, boop. Bring in one card here. All right, hopefully this works out just fine. All right, what we've got here is the Dirty Pam Original, Radiant Wise Spirit Standard, Radiant Wise Spirit Mini. As you can see, the Fool that looks the largest is from the Radiant Wise Spirit, because Los Scarabeo took this art and blew it up. But I'm pretty sure they weren't working off of like an Illustrator file where things are vectorized and you can infinitely scale things up or down without losing any like quality. Not that, you know, you've lost a lot of quality, but what happened here is you've increased some graininess in the image. For instance, if we take a moment to look at this area near the Fool, do you see how all of a sudden the little blotchinesses that you can see here that kind of make up the texture get like really augmented here? It's not a great look. This is maybe a card where it isn't like hyper obvious, but when you have that effect going across multiple cards, it just starts to make the deck look sloppy. So I personally think that the art on this looks better than it does on either of these because you're shrinking it down. Everything's looking sharper, even sharper than the original. It's also more lightly printed, so you're getting a little bit more white effect. So as we can see here, this background looks paler than it does here or here. It actually looks darker here. And we're seeing a little bit more white, like around these mountains, than you would either in either of these cards. White in the yellow part, not the mountain part. And I think that actually kind of helps out the images. So image-wise, I think it's great. One of the issues that I'm not keen on for the mini is the way art was cropped. And part of that is Lo Scarabäo's fault, truly. Lo Scarabäo's general card format is a skinnier one than standard. As you can see there, right? The Radiant Wise Spirit is now more like a US Games size, so it's about 1/4 of an inch wider, still about the same height. When Lo Scarabäo was working on this deck, they squeezed the Pam B art in. So this is all actually a little bit skinnier than it would be in the original. I think maybe they expanded it back in some capacity. I actually can't tell for this one. Maybe they didn't. It looks about the same. But they definitely zoomed it in. And you can see here where there's like details here, like you've got these mountains down here. Well, half of those mountains are cut out here and almost all of the mountains are cut out here. So I do think that with detail around the edges of the art, you're gonna lose some stuff. And some of that stuff might be important. For instance, it is actually important for me to know that there is something down here, you know, that the Fool can jump onto in some capacity. And I'm gonna lose that for this particular card. But aside from that, it's not half bad representation. Let's take a look at some of these cards here. It's all very clear. It's all very neat. I am missing some of the contrast of a black border, right? Yeah, it just looks a little awkward to go from the card itself to a white border. But you know what? If you didn't want the border, it would make it a lot easier to trim. Because now you don't have to negotiate around a black border to get this trimmed. So maybe that's a benefit. The cardstock is great. It's exactly the same as the one that was done for the original deck, and not at all for the Radiant Wise Spirit Standard, which is thick and glossy and a hot darn mess. I hate it. This is really quite nice. So I'm here to tell you that I hate mini decks. I hate them a lot. And I'm actually glad I have this one. I don't know how much I'm going to use it because it is very small, and I mean, like, that's not entirely my MO. I'm not a huge fan of tiny decks. Maybe if I was traveling someplace, I would throw it in my bag. But honestly, tarot decks aren't that hard to transport. But it's nice. I'm glad I have this. Even a card like this, which is typically quite, you know, hard to see all the details, not half bad. So well done, Lo Scarabäo. I even kind of like dig the fact that on these card backs we have this little like extra half row at the top and bottom. It looks a little awkward the first time you see it, but honestly, you're not going to see it after a half second. So yeah, I'm quite a fan. Thank you so much for listening to me go on about this deck, and have a wonderful day.